But so first diving into it, when you think of Summerville Speedway, one word, how do you describe that racetrack?
First night I went there, I was super excited.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a few days before I was going to attend my first race at Summerville, and that was September, I think, 1972, I had a dream about late model racing. And we didn't have a lot of late model racing up north. It was all modified stuff. And I remember in my dream looking at all these late model cars, but they were on trailers in line for Summerville Speedway, you know? And I was excited. But it was like a throwback. Even in those days, it kind of looked like a track out of the late 50s. And I loved it. People didn't have to have $1 million to race there. They had a 6-cylinder division and the 8-cylinder late models. And the grandstands were 3/4 full every week. It was just a wonderful thing. And it was a pretty quick track. It was high banked. And the cars were definitely fast enough to get everybody excited. Everybody had their favorites. Like Frank Graham was big, Charlie Powell, and Al Bailey. You know, many more. Arnold Hutto. A lot of them I can't even remember. Hop Holmes had usually the only Ford who was right at the front. But he ran like crazy too. But it was a great track and a little bit of dust. Dirt fans don't mind dust. And it was wonderful. It was a great time. I love talking to the people and finding out who's driving this car and who runs good in this class. The cars were beautiful. Just I fell in love with that place the first time I saw it. Didn't have to be fancy. Didn't need a $20 million speed plant. Local people could build a car and go there and race, get their start in racing. I bought my first car for Summerville Speedway. I never got to race it, but we kind of took a few laps around Latson. Guarantee you that.
What did the track mean to the community? Like
Oh, man.
how did the community feel about it? How did it change that community?
Well, I came from a racing community in Connecticut, and we averaged through the years 7,200 people in the grandstand every week, even including nights when the weather wasn't good. So I grew up in a culture where instead of taking a bus home from grammar school, I would walk. And I'd visit the 3 or 4 garages right near the school where I could see stock cars. And when I came to Summerville, I found the same thing. I found stock cars sitting out in yards. You know, oh my God, this really reminds me of Danbury. The place I'm missing so much right now. And it was great. Almost everybody I met had been to the racetrack, and a lot of regular fans, they all had their favorites. And it was just a wonderful community there. That's something we all had in common. Oh my God. But and community is a big part of racing, And when I got to know some of the drivers and some of the people who lived there, it was just wonderful. We had so much in common, and I started shooting more pictures and like to share those. But it was wonderful. Yeah, it's really important when you buy into a community like that. And a racing community, I just fit right in. It was a wonderful place. I'm going to be visiting there this year, 2021. I'm definitely going to drive back down since I'm living outside of Charlotte now. But thank you, Brandon.
When you heard that the track was closing or had closed?
I arrived 2 o'clock in the morning, and exactly 1 week later, Summerville was holding its last weekend of racing. And I didn't find out about that until it was all over, so I missed it. And I was heartbroken that I had actually been there in North Carolina and didn't know. I felt terrible. I've closed about 6 racetracks in my life, including the one I grew up at. And it just breaks my heart because I'll never see all those people together again in the context of being in the grandstands cheering for their favorite drivers, and all the pit crews standing outside of the fence rooting for their guy, their favorite guy, you know, the car that they worked on all week. It really, I don't know if I can swear, but it really pisses me off. When they close a racetrack, that's exactly how I feel. Even a track I read about that I never attended, I have pictures of most racetracks, and I still get mad. And it's sad. And we've had several close. You know, I-77 in South Carolina, Richburg. That was my favorite dirt track when I moved down here. And that closed about 6 years ago for good. They just announced it's never coming back. We lost Concord Motorsports Park, half-mile asphalt high-banked oval. That's gone. It tears me up every time I hear of a racetrack, especially ones that I love. They were two of my favorite tracks in the South that were still here, still left, and they're gone. So, yeah, I get very upset.
Memory. Well, you know, is there one that stands out of this night, or man, when this happened, you had to be
well? I think, you know, as a kid, I had my favorite drivers, and I loved the cars. But the more age I get on me, I want to look more into the drivers than the cars. I love the cars, don't get me wrong. But I had a couple favorite drivers, and they both met sad endings, both at young ages. One in a race car, and one had a heart attack as I was sitting in the front row watching him in his car. And that's heartbreaking. Get just so attached as a kid. And I had my two favorites as a kid, and within 3 years, I lost both of them. I never got over that, but I still went to Danbury every week, cheered for whoever was racing, you know. Still had about 20 other people I knew. And it's just a very special time. It is a big family. You know, they'd be battling it out on the racetrack. And this is true at Summerville. Battling it out on the racetrack, and boy, they get out of their cars and they might throw a couple punches and all this stuff. And man, after the races, the big thing after the races was going into the pits. And hell, man, those guys be working on each other's cars. All the bad stuff's forgotten. Let's fix our cars so we can come back next week. And that's the brotherhood that I've always found in racing. And through my years of racing, I found the same thing. Always people to help you. And that's very special. Special memories.
Didn't cover, or you just wouldn't, you have on your mind or whatever about the Speedway?
Yeah. Well, I'd have to say my next trip to South Carolina, to the Charleston area, I know how sad I'm going to be, because I'll be thinking about the time I was in the Navy, and I got introduced to Summerville Speedway, and now all those people are either not with us at all, they're gone, and today's kids are growing up without a racetrack there. In fact, there's no racetrack within 60 or 70 miles of the whole Summerville area. And as a race car brat, I think everybody's really missing out. The kids are missing out. The families are missing out. The racers are missing out. And it's a whole culture. And that's one reason I came to Charlotte. Because I know if we lost one or two tracks, which we have, we still have quite a few more. You know, we can meet the same kind of people that we are. We love racing. We love reading about it and photography with it and the videos. And we still have our favorite drivers. And I go to a community with no racetrack. I know there's something missing. There's something plausible that just isn't there. You know, you can have Little League, but auto racing was always more important to me than playing baseball. As much as I love baseball, I had to get to that racetrack on Saturday night. And Summerville the people in Summerville don't have that opportunity, and most people probably aren't even aware that there was a racetrack. And I think that's sad. And we've got to have people remember that racetrack. And that's what, you have a big part in this, Brandon, and I'll share whatever I can give. And the people who are left who remember Summerville and they attended, we're going to bring back those memories for them. And they're very special. Thank you.